Hey Pokemaniacs, it's time for another episode of Some Big YouTuber Did Something That Blew Up and Now Everybody Wants to Jump Aboard. Yay! Today's episode, your Pokemon cards are worth millions, and also worth nothing. So sign in, sit right down, and I'm gonna explain to you how you're gonna be filthy rich and happy, or really mad that your cards are crap. Hello and welcome back to Pokemon Theory, the show where Professor Oak really isn't a professor and going to the gym doesn't mean pumping iron. If you're curious, I was requested to do a theory on if people could actually make millions off of their old Pokemon cards. This was requested by many people, probably because a YouTuber named Logan Paul opened an old Pokemon box which contained a very rare card. It was a first edition Charizard, worth an enormous amount of money. And well, honestly, even if it wasn't first edition, it still would have been cool as hell and still worth a pretty penny being in mint condition. Recently, one sold for $5,000. Now that's a lot of money for just a little bit of cardboard and paper. But are all your old cards that you forgot about until recently worth that kind of money? Or really any money at all? Well, the answer to this theory is yes and no. You can get rich, but there's a great likelihood that you won't. And not to disappoint, but there's a lot of factors at play here. Actually making decent money off of Pokemon cards is very difficult, or any cards for that matter. As a start, you can easily get the information for what your card might be worth on many websites. For example, this PSA blog website discusses the first edition holographic Pokemon cards. Here is the thing though. The value of your cards are dependent on how well they've been taken care of. A good example here is Alakazam being valued at around $2,000, which is pretty good money for one card. However, if we consult our good friend eBay's sold section, we can see that Alakazam has sold for nowhere near $2,000, making at best recently $900. Now, $900 for a card is pretty good, but it's not $2,000. People might just be broke and can't afford it. The economy of America, which is driving the sales for these cards, has a big impact on people just spending this ridiculous amount of money on cards. And then of course, there's the value people see from them. Yes, a Charizard might be worth $200,000 to the right person, but if someone is selling theirs for $500, no one is going to buy your Charizard for $200K. Sorry. Which means all of those people who watched the Logan Paul video and started selling their cards, they are now flooding the market, making those cards worth significantly less. But there's also another reason why your cards are probably not worth much. See, you might have noticed that some of these cards are kept in plastic to keep them safe. It makes a lot of sense and it's a good idea to do. That alone doesn't mean much though, other than your card might be clean, which is nice. But some of those cards also have been what's called graded, which means Professional Sports Authenticator, PSA, is the largest and the most trusted third-party grading and authentication company in the world. In short, when cards are graded, they're rated for how well they're kept, and most importantly, authentication. So, they are often sealed and placed with a sticker that shows the grade. If you think you might want to get your old cards back from Cousin Jimmy, it's likely way too late. In fact, if you've ever played with your cards, handled your cards, or touched your cards with anything on your fingers, they are likely worth very little now. At this point, you might be thinking, what a waste, and you're ready to sell your cards in a huge lot for cash. You just don't want to deal with the individual sales. But that would be a dumb idea too, because people not only would offer you less for a lot of your cards, but would also try to flip them later and make a lot of money off of your ignorance. Even so, your cards are still worth something, just not worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you had a first edition holo Charizard, not graded, out of the plastic, just plain old card that you played with as a kid a little bit, it might still be worth a decent chunk of cash. I've seen them go for around $50 to $100, and that's pretty good considering the pack you got it out of probably cost you less than 3. Like anything else you might be trying to sell, patience is your friend. Knowing what you have and putting it out there for the public to buy is the best way to get the most from it. That said, there are sites like eBay which might grant the most eyes, but not the best value. You could always go and attend trade shows, maybe you'll get a lucky buyer there. There's also private websites, social media, and people you just might know personally. And finally, there's also the pawn shop op. Man, Best I can do, $350. But my point is, while your first edition Charizard might not be worth $5,000 or even 50, it might be worth, you know, a little chunk of change. Maybe you could get 20, 30, or 40 bucks. And hey, that's pizza and beer, so not bad. Some of those cards might be worth around 50 to 100 bucks as well, making your old collection a nice little chunk of change for you. Could pay for your vacation, upgrade to your computer or laptop, could even pay off a debt that you just can't get out of. Bearing that in mind, you are turning cards that might have collected dust into real money. You're not going to get rich unless you pull the card right out of the set and then sell it. And who would do that? Who, I ask you? The same guy who would pay $100,000 for a box of cards. Yeah. That guy. As for me, I have a binder full of old, sweet Pokemon cards, and together it's worth anywhere from $50 to $500. But I likely won't see the larger end of the amount, which is okay with me. These cards are really cool, and I got them in an auction, believe it or not. My own personal collection isn't here because my mother didn't believe in Pokemon, and she believed it to be satanism. When I was in the military, she got rid of my collection, along with my Yu-Gi-Oh collection, which arguably was probably a lot more on the Satan-y side than Pokemon. Mind Crush! But all things considered, it was still just a card game. Yeah, so I'm not bitter at all. Nope. Well, there you have it, folks. You might be one of the lucky ones who stuck that card in the plastic, never touched it, or never used it, and you're rich now. But for the rest of us, thanks for the memory. Alexa, this is sad. Please play some Despacito.
Here's a sample of Despacito remix by Luis Fonsi, Daddy Yankee, and others.
Wait, no! Alexa, that's copyright! Oh, you're still here. So you might be a bit curious on why TCG is so popular right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and break it down for you. If you're wondering why Mr. Paul here got so many views, well, it's partially because YouTube loves the Paul brothers, and partially because Mr. Beast promoted this as well. And because YouTube prefers to promote a lot of douchebags, Mr. Logan here got around 8 million views. If you think I'm joking, look at other similar videos done by people who are dedicated in the community of TCG, and they got significantly less views than him. Seriously, Logan Paul got over 8 million views on this video alone. But Logan Paul, that name sounds familiar. Oh yeah, isn't that one of the Paul brothers? He is Jake Paul's brother, right? You know, the one who got banned from Japan for showing a dead body in Suicide Forest, and also simultaneously single-handedly caused the adpocalypse, destroying many YouTubers' careers. Yeah, his brother. Oh, and yeah, wasn't his brother recently charged with rioting in an Arizona mall? Yeah, why would YouTube promote the Paul brothers? YouTube took this guy's video, promoted it like crazy, and now, because of so much exposure, the TCG community is flooded by people who are very ignorant, some eager to learn, some looking to make some quick money. But overall, your cards are probably going to be extremely undervalued, and the market is going to be flooded now because of this. With everyone and their mom trying to sell their Pokemon cards, what makes yours stand out? Nothing. Nothing at all, because everyone else is selling the same thing. Oh, and if you don't believe me, just check this eBay listing. So, a while ago, I wanted to get a nice nod, a memory to my Charizard that I once had, and I stumbled upon some fake Pokemon cards that are made of like metal. They're produced, they have the art on them, so that's cool. So I saved them. I was going to buy them later for a video review. But recently, they went from being offered at a discount of $7.99 to now $99. Yeah, you see it, don't you? Thanks, Logan. Thanks, YouTube. And thanks to all those who think their base Charmander is worth $1 million now.